Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough. It's time for the end of the game. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is the final part of the story of Bayonetta 2. It's come around quick, hasn't it? I told you this game was not that long, to be honest. And sitting up here is our final Umbran Tears of Blood, which I'm making it look a lot more difficult to get than it actually is. Because all you really need to do is just run up the stairs a little bit more, and then beast within your way over to it. And you're fine. I just kind of was a bit of a klutz. But that is all of the Umbran Tears of Blood. Well, all of the Umbran Crows holding Umbran Tears of Blood in the entire game. They weren't quite as dickish as they were in the original game, where they, had different crows on different difficulties. No, they just had the 20, and that was it. And I'm eternally grateful for that. But our final boss is on the other side of this door.
Little one!
Welcome to Thimbleventer, the Lumen Sage, right eye of the Overseer, the Umbra Witch, left eye of the Overseer. Now, everything has fallen into place.
Bayonetta! Get out of...
Balder, this is what I promised you. Your chance at revenge. Accept it freely. That is your revenge? Is this not the one who destroyed your world, who destroyed your life? Surely this can't be all you hoped to see. The two of us were once a single being. However, this half said he would awaken humans to the truth of their existence. So he divided our divine power and our very souls in two. We should have become mere shells. But this half left behind a certain power within himself in order to protect the balance our split brought the world. A sovereign power to freely control the eyes of the world. Unfortunately, this one made quite the miscalculation. He had not accounted for the power of evil intent which grew as humans prospered. I couldn't use the sovereign power to control the eyes, so instead, I used the evil hearts of humans to begin to retrieve the power of the ancient god. And all that remained is taking back the one power I do not yet have. The sovereign power. The power this one held within. You managed to escape 500 years before, but it was merely a waiting game. Waiting for you to be reborn. Now the time has come for our powers to become one again, and for me to ascend to the throne as Aesir, god of chaos. Now, my better half, it is time to restore your sovereign power to my hands. I now have the power to control the eyes as I wish. Shall I start from the right eye? Take him if it pleases you. He is nothing but an empty container to me now. I have no more use for him. Come now. It is time I receive your power, witch.
Don't worry, I got the kid. You've got my permission to show him your stuff, Bayonetta.
What on earth was that?
Just some fool always swinging in out of nowhere. Albeit with absolutely impeccable timing. I suppose not even a god can see him coming.
Gods do not concern themselves with the machinations of insects. Now, Umbral Witch, the left eye of darkness must return from whence it came.
Then just try to take it back. You've destroyed more than you know.
And with that, we begin our final boss fight against Lopter, who is very similar to what you've already faced, which is a little bit disappointing. Now, Lopter is voiced by TJ Ramini, as he has been since from when he was called here as Prophet, and then he's still voiced by him here. Now, he hasn't really been in a whole lot, so he was Troy in Dating the Enemy, Ishmael in The Death of Klinghoffer, Pavel in Spivs, Crane Thug #1 in Batman Begins, Raphael in Get Lucky, and then PC Russell in Casualty, Dr. Zane, DC Zane Nadir in The Bill, and he's also Vikram Desai in Twisted, as well as Naz Singh in Sleeping Dogs. So he's been in certain things, but not much. Now, as a final boss, I would be okay with him here. Good old Lopter. But it does feel like a marked kind of drop after the glory that was Jubileus and also Jerginga in the Wonderful 101. I don't know, it's like, as a battle this is much more exciting and involved than Jubileus ever was. But the scale's just not there. Even when he's going to get bigger, it's never quite that grandiose. It's kind of almost like they didn't even try to outdo themselves. If anything, Lopter feels very, very, very much like when we fought Boulder in the first game than fighting Jubileus, which is a bit of a shame, I feel.
You are merely human. The eyes of the world hold power, but their power came from that of a god. This god will see those powers returned. And so it shall be. The power of Aesir returns to me, and I I shall rule over this world as time demands it. To be the overseer of this world. To rule it. A power only meant for Aesir. Human free will is a joke. It is a worthless illusion. You need only obey me. My will shall become that of the universe.
Humans need not be told what their will shall be. We can create our world with our own eyes.
An indulgent statement of human folly. Do you have any idea how much turmoil and confusion you have created?
We may not see our next step. We may stumble. We may fall off the path. But we always move forward. That is the power of man! Bayonetta, shall we illustrate?
Let's rock!
And now it is time to face Aesir in all of his glory. Quite literally. To the rather interesting song which is just called Aesir. Now, this is as big as he's going to get, which is what I mean by it's not quite as impressive as Jubileus. And to be perfectly honest, the song is nowhere near as spectacular as the Greatest Jubilee was. And it's certainly nowhere near Jigging a Planet Destruction form. I mean, that thing was just like out of this world, and this is a bit kind of wishy-washy. But what I find really, really interesting about Aesir's design is that sort of it seems very much based on kind of, I think it's Brahma in Hindu mythology, or Hindu religion. I don't know, there's just something about the design, and it does work very much as a sort of amalgamation of multiple different visions of God. Because sort of he could be partially based on Chaos, which is the primordial god of Greek mythology, also Demiurge, which I don't know, but he's really small. I mean, there is the whole thing of God created man in his image, so I guess that makes sense, but I do honestly find this to be a disappointing final boss for what is a really fun game, as much as I've bitched and moaned throughout it. Like, gameplay-wise, it's a lot of fun. I just desperately wanted more of it, and I wanted bigger. Because by the time you kind of get to the end of it, it's just like another phase. That's all they needed was just one more phase where he's just this gigantic monster of a boss. And I think that would have made this so much better. I mean, it's also frustrating because we've already kind of faced off against this guy multiple times before, so he's not really that much of a threat, even if he has kind of got all these extra abilities and all that jazz. And for some reason I just prefer to fight him with love is blue. Something just feels right about it. Also, we get some wonderful little strains of... I think it's... You May Call Me Father. Yes. Just because obviously we're sort of fighting alongside Baldur, but not really. It's another thing, it's sort of just like a solo fight against the final boss would just have made things a lot better. Also, wonderful return of this satellite, which is both in Vanquish and also in the Wonderful 101. It's the Shirogane Comet in the Wonderful 101, and it's beautiful there as well. But yeah, I really wanted this to be spectacular, and I mean it sort of is, but it's not as spectacular as it could have been, and that's kind of a lot of my feelings about Bayonetta 2, as I will continue while we eventually get to the credits, is that there are a lot of kind of missed opportunities where it seems like they've taken shortcuts. And that's not how I see Platinum Games as a developer. They are not a developer that takes shortcuts. So I don't quite know what happened there, because the boss fight is basically over now.
Kid, you gonna be okay?
You see what I mean? It's
His first mistake was thinking that
for an entire game based on climax action.
stupid fool doesn't get why I'm
The final boss is a bit of an anticlimax, really. Especially considering Loki kind of takes our thunder by doing
The
this.
real trump card's the one you keep hidden until just the right timing, mate.
What?
The real power of Lord Aesir, the god of chaos, is nothingness. The power to erase anything and everything from the world. Even the very eyes that created it.
No! Whoa, hold on for a second, kid. What happens to the world if you...
Any good card player is a gambler, right? Either the world will be destroyed, or it will create its own path. Human free will determine which way things go.
Worthless.
And so we now get to just absolutely obliterate Aesir. Which is, it's a bit ridiculous, to be honest. Because there we go, time for the climax. And with that, which was Agraos Tabaord Avavago, which was the moon of darkness, let her be governed by that which thunders, and Izizop Holonol Obilison, which is from your highest Leo the Deliverer, we summon Omni, which is a wonderful amalgamation of Queen Sheba and Jubileus to bring about this climax in which we're drop-kicking God out of his body. And Moon River, I've missed you so much. So much. And we have to direct Aesir into the mouth of Gamora after Jeanne's just done Execraclia, which is to vomit weeping. It's not, well, certainly nowhere near as cool as punching Jubileus into the sun, but it'll do, I suppose. But yeah, that's the game done. Now we get a rather very interesting ending, which I do very much like, much more so than the final boss. It answers a lot of questions about the original Bayonetta, and I love it a lot.
Just be reborn in a different era.
What are you
trying to do? Do you think you can contain my power? Have you lost your sanity?
Sanity is a requirement for our kind. You will never see another era trapped inside me. Only an endless circle of time!
Mate, that's pure evil you're dealing with. It's a poison that will live inside you forever.
So be it. What's wrong can be made right through human hands! Ah!
Baldur!
Cereza, listen to me.
You know my name?
If I stray from my path, you must be the one. The one to stop me.
Baldur!
Cereza, just one time. Call me Daddy.
Daddy.
Thank you, Cereza. My dear, sweet child.
Daddy!
Seems like the world's still in one piece.
Seems so.
You don't need the eyes of the world, love. I believe in your kind. You can create whatever future you desire.
What will happen to you?
I'll just take a little break. This world doesn't need me anymore, right?
Will I see you again?
Hard to say. I'll come back to this world someday. So if you're lucky, maybe we'll meet again, love.
Little one,
I'm not little, and I have a name. It's Aesir. I mean, my name is Loki. And I think you can quit treating me like a kid now.
Then I'll call you by your name when I see you again. As a man.
Bloody hell. Well, that's fine, I guess. At least I know what I want to be when I grow up, right? See you around, Bayonetta.
Goodbye, little one. And you can call me Cereza.
Sorry, love. But you still don't strike me as a Cereza.
Sales are so much better after the holidays. And the distinct lack of acts of God doesn't hurt either. Can you believe they tore my dress to shreds? Right about here, I think it was. Absolutely criminal. There's such a thing as a time and a place. Time? Oh. Cereza, cat got your tongue? No. No. I'm fine.
Hey, come on. How long do I have to keep doing this? Investigative journalism is big in January.
The gates of hell goes down, and so does your anonymous source, my friend. Now keep driving.
All right, I get it. I owe you. But I'm not the one with the endless tab. Where is that deadbeat anyway?
Well, those two are getting along nicely. Now, to get those new heels. Come along, Enzo. Damn it! I forgot Enzo. Oh, I was wondering why there wasn't a short, foul-mouthed Italian in earshot. Where did you leave him? He said he'd wait for me in the plane. Again?
What a day! What a day!
Wonderful. That's the second dress in a month. Another day in the life, Cereza. Maybe you should try being nice to Enzo for a change. And let's save the chit-chat for later. We've got work to do. Now you're speaking my language. There's only one way to ring in the new year. Let's dance, boys!
And with that, Bayonetta 2 is complete. Well, the story's finished. We've got a little bit more to go in terms of everything else. But we have the rather cool Let's Dance Boys second climax version. Not quite as much of a fan of it as the original Let's Dance Boys, that was just amazing. I think the kind of merging of Tomorrow Is Mine into this doesn't quite work as well, but either way, once again we get to play during the credits, so be very on it. Because you are under a very strict time limit during these fights for completing them. So good luck. I guess this is kind of my time to say what I think of Bayonetta 2. On the whole, I think it is amazing. Like, gameplay-wise, it's phenomenal. It's certainly easier than the original Bayonetta. And I think kind of the introduction of Umbra and Climax is the reason for that. But it's kind of quicker, it's more kind of tightly polished, the weapons are all a heck of a lot better, even though I do wish there were more kind of projectile weapons. But, and also I mean visually this is a massive improvement over the original game. You may not necessarily be able to tell, but there's a lot more going on, the effects are much more vibrant, I mean everything's so much more colourful. So there are a lot of improvements. I just feel that even though they cut away a lot of the useless kind of crap from the original game, like the horrible QuickTime events and all that, certain things got lost along the way, like kind of the sense of mystery, the kind of reasonably lengthed chapters, the introduction of kind of the bosses, making them kind of worthwhile to defeat, and also just an epic final boss, because everything just sort of is a little bit anticlimactic, which it disappoints me, because I think that after the story of the Wonderful 101, which was, I think, it has a lull in the middle, but kind of the final couple of chapters are just out of this world. And they have an excellent pace to them. Whereas here it's just sort of, you get back to our time, and then suddenly it's just like, let's go to Fimbulvent, and then suddenly you're at the top, and then you just got upstairs and you get the final boss. It's just like, there just needed to be more. We needed another level, another stage to the final boss to just make it the satisfying experience that it could have been. And I mean, I think I did come into Bayonetta 2 with way too high expectations for it, which is unfair to it. And there are a lot of people who, quite rightly, say that Bayonetta 2 is a better game than the original Bayonetta, and it is. But I just feel a lot more satisfied by the original Bayonetta. And I think that the original Bayonetta is kind of a more tightly constructed package that kind of plays everything on ensuring that you feel satisfied by the end of the experience from the challenge, whereas this is just sort of all-out ridiculous action, which is, it has its place, and I completely understand why there are people who prefer it, but I don't think it's as amazing as the original Bayonetta was, and that makes me sad. Anyway, we get to listen to the wonderful original Moon River by Andy Williams, as we get to see the entire cast list. I think the only person I haven't talked about is Jenny O'Hara, I think. I will double check those facts later on, but I'm surprised they didn't use the Audrey Hepburn version from Breakfast at Tiffany's. No, Breakfast at Tiffany, whatever the film's called. Because that kind of felt like what it was more playing on. But either way, it's a wonderful song, and it's a wonderful kind of thematic song for Bayonetta 2. And I think it works a lot better than Fly Me to the Moon, although that worked perfectly in the original Bayonetta. In many ways, Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2 are excellent as a package, which is why I'm very happy that they did release them together on the Wii U. Because Bayonetta 1 is, well, can stand on its own, but it is kind of retroactively improved by Bayonetta 2, just as I think Bayonetta 2 is improved by having experienced the original Bayonetta, because you can see how they work together. They are two sides of the same coin. I mean, particularly because of the stinger that's going to happen after these credits have finished, although I wanted my music video at the end and I don't get it. But you get what I mean. It all works. I just think that there could have been more. And I would love to see a Bayonetta 3. I suspect it may not happen, and we may get kind of the spin-off with Jeanne and Rodan and all of that, and I would love that. But I would love a chance for Hideki Kamiya to return for a Bayonetta 3 to kind of, well, partly even just to see how he would do a sequel, because he's never been allowed to yet. And I know he wants to. I mean, he said that he likes Hashimoto's Bayonetta, but I prefer the Kamiya touch. I think it works a lot better. And now we get the stinger. It's all dark and ominous. And so, that's basically how Baldur became the evil, manipulative dick that he was in the original game. And it further cements why Bayonetta 1 and 2 are two sides of the same coin, because kind of they narratively lead into each other. the end of Bayonetta 2 leads into the beginning of Bayonetta 1, and Bayonetta 1 leads into Bayonetta 2. But we are all done. Here is the play history. It shows you all of your trophies, it shows you all the breakdowns of what medals you got, and the times, and all that. It's great fun to go through. But I got a platinum overall, and I got a platinum on every single chapter, because I am such a badass. Obviously, there are people who are better than me and can kind of get pure platinum all the way through, and get pure platinum on all difficulties. I'm not that good. I know I'm not that good. But I am very proud of my straight platinum run. Because I was slightly terrified I wouldn't be able to repeat my success from my original Bayonetta walkthrough. But, and then we get another wonderful congratulations screen. It's certainly a lot less busy than the original Bayonetta, and way less busy than the wonderful 101s. But it's it's wonderful. And just the quality of this art is great. I'd love to see kind of the whole thing just stretched out. I mean, there's the slight problem because it loops with just the split down Omni there, who is a separate being to Queen Sheba and Jubilee, so I feel I should point that out. That Omni's cool. But yes, we are basically done. We've just got a quick peek at the final journal entry, and then it's time to go into the absolute butt ton of extras. So we've got the witch trials, we've got climax, we've got third climax, first climax, infinite climax, all sorts, and you're going to see all of it. Absolutely all of it. So look forward to that coming very soon. But, conclusion. I came to this town to find out the truth behind the origins of the legend of Aesir, but I never imagined I'd witness that story's conclusion with my own eyes. I don't think I can accurately sum up this century-spanning tale here, but I'll give a brief account. Long, long ago, God imparted his powers to mankind by giving them the eyes of the world, marking the dawn of free will. With the passing of his power, a new life was created. His name was Lopter. Lopter had the ability to absorb the evil thoughts of mankind that began to flow throughout the world. His power grew, and he dreamed of one day having a power equal to the god from which he was created. After accumulating a massive amount of energy, Lopter attempted to seal the eyes of the world, but failed. By reincarnating himself, God fled to our modern era, where he was followed by Lopter. Lopter began a plan lasting 500 years. Involving Inferno, Paradiso, the Lumen and the Umbra. As our world descended into chaos, Lopter began the final part of his plan. Yet in the end, not being a fully realised god, he couldn't foresee everything. An Umbra witch crossed paths with God himself, as if fate had miraculously aligned. The two came together to stop Lopter's plan, in turn saving the world. Maybe it wasn't the perfect ending everyone had hoped for, but our human world is still alive and kicking. So that's something. The eyes of the world have lost their power, but the fear of humans losing their free will has been erased. Perhaps the eyes of the world have dissolved into our world and dispersed their power silently across humanity. I can't say I really know what's going to happen next, but that's what makes tomorrow interesting, I suppose. As long as I'm still around, I'm going to keep searching for the truth and let it be known. Seeker of Truth, Luca Redgrave. Thank you all so much for watching the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you next time.